Well, later this year will mark the 15th anniversary of the cult classic sci-fi comedy Galaxy Quest. In a recent piece done by MTV on the film, the cast of the original film all say they're more than willing to do a sequel and that a draft for a sequel is actually in existence. Sam Rockwell is quoted as saying, "F yeah, a sequel would be amazing." Christian, do you think a Galaxy Quest sequel could ever happen, and would you want one?
Do I think it ever could happen? Yes. Do I want one? Not necessarily. And it's not because I didn't like the movie. I actually like the first one very much. I think it's a very fun film. It's one of those movies that you ask most people who have seen it, they say, that's a fun film. The other thing you never hear is, I can't wait for part 2. You never hear that. And it might be too long. And I also am curious, if they did release it, how much of the audience today would be rushing out, the demographic for most people who buy tickets are rushing out to see this part 2. And I just don't know if there's a market for it. It's not to say that it couldn't be a big hit if it came out. I just don't necessarily need it. But Alicia, what do you think?
Yeah, I love the first one too, but I don't know whether you can repeat the magic again. I do love that all the cast are on board for a sequel. They all really want it to happen. Sigourney Weaver says she still has her costume, but these days, I mean, Sam Rockwell since then has become a much bigger star. Galaxy Quest was made for $45 million. Now I think it would cost a lot more, and it didn't do that well at the box office, but I think the studio didn't really...
More of a cult thing, right?
Yeah, the studio didn't really know what to do with it. But the thing that I love about Galaxy Quest was it came out in 1999, and that's one of my favorite years for film, because you had Being John Malkovich, Fight Club, Magnolia, American Beauty, Eyes Wide Shut, and Galaxy Quest.
Yes, interesting. Don?
Yeah, I think there was a poll that they took recently, and I may be a little bit wrong on this, but that of fans' favorite Star Trek movies. And a movie that actually got pretty high up in the poll was Galaxy Quest, because everybody loved the fact that it was sort of very much a loving homage to Star Trek, more or less. And that's the thing, it was very much of its time. Galaxy Quest came out when Star Trek on TV was still a big presence. You still had the original series, people were still familiar with it. I think they were still making, they finished making the original cast movies a while back, but they had been making Next Generation movies. There was a Next Generation show, people still remember that. It was very much of its time because that particular era of Star Trek was still very much part of pop culture. Not so much now. Yeah. So I think it was of its time. I don't see that 15 years later you could recreate that same magic or even get that same sort of audience connection that I think a lot of people got to it at the time.
It'd be interesting also if they did decide to do this, if they played up more what happened and how much more has happened in the geek culture, even if they said it at Comic-Con or what had happened then from Comic-Con now. I mean, there are ways that they could do it and that we could all respond, but I agree with you, Don. I just don't know if it fits the same way it did back then. But who knows?
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.